Welcome, everybody, to another episode here. It is Superhero Stuff You Should Know. I'm your host, Andrew. I'm leading this shit this time. I'm the man who knows too much about Batman, video games, and I'm joined by Ben.
This is Ben, the man who usually knows too much about Batman, but video games is Andrew's thing, so I'm going to let him teach me what's going on.
And Zack.
Yes, your old Uncle Joker is here, ready to get some education from Andrew Tavius on everyone's favorite cartoon series-inspired video game, Joker, the animated series.
And I got old college buddy Matt here today.
Howdy, folks. Howdy.
Let's talk about Matt for just a second, man. Why'd we invite this guy? He's a lead animator on Torchlight 1 and 2 and Hob, and he also worked on Disintegration, and he's now a senior animator at Respawn on the Star Wars team.
That's right.
Nice.
Bona fides, everybody. I don't just hire. I'm not just bringing on jackasses. I leave that to Zach.
I've made a video game or two.
All right, so this time around we are doing a fan request. KookieNomz, we mention her all the time, and she's a cookie maker extraordinaire. She's on Instagram. This is her. It's KookieNomz, and she's on Instagram, and you can find her store there. You can see here on the YouTube channel that the Batman cookies that she made for us are in the center here of this. Mm-hmm. So you can see her work there.
Those are awesome.
How could you ever eat those? They're too gorgeous.
It was a struggle.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, you feel a little guilty. You feel guilty eating those things, yeah, for sure. So
we just took plenty of pictures and then we dug in because we didn't want to just.
Yes.
She could have just done the Instagram post if we were just going to do the pictures. So it was like, all right, if we went through all the work to do the cookies,
you have to.
Let's just eat them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure. And she has been also in one of the sketches too, actually.
Yes.
All right. So moving on from that, so we're covering Adventures of Batman and Robin, like I said, and anybody's familiarity with this game series before we get into it.
I do remember this coming out, but I missed it. That was in that era when you had to really pick and choose as a kid what game you were going to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Did you have this, Zach?
If I had the system to play it on, I certainly would have had it, but the only video game I had around that time that was inspired by the show was the GameBoy game for Batman, the animated series, but no, I knew about this, but I never got to play it.
We will be covering that, so that's good. All right.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't think I ever owned them. I think I rented at least the Super Nintendo and Genesis ones. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mainly know it as the quote-unquote lost episode of TAS. That's what it's called on YouTube.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That was the original pitch for this episode from Kookie, and I just kind of decided it might not be enough for one episode, so I'll just have like this little ramp up into it. And they're all connected, so it makes sense. So, talking about the Adventures of Batman and Robin video game series. And it's a series of video game adaptations released from 1994 and 1995 featuring DC Comics characters like you all know, Batman and Robin, based on the animated series in particular. And it was retitled this in its second season, right? And we're going to be covering Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, which is MegaDrive outside of North America, GameGear, and then Game Boy, and then after the break, we'll be doing the Sega CD one, the main show, and that's Mega CD outside of North America. So there you go for our non-North American listeners. Okay, so let's get into it. The action in this game takes Batman to an amusement park and other places where the villains do their dirty deeds. For the most part, it is an action-adventure platformer in which the player controls Batman, of course, and it's basically just side-scroller, and one of the first, I think the first level is a Joker level.
Nice.
And it's called Amused to Death.
This is very similar to the Game Boy game version. I remember it having similar mechanics.
Most of these Batman games are very similar. From what I could tell, like there is kind of a formula to the Batman games as we've seen them over the years. Like even back in this era, there was the beat 'em up stages followed by usually a Batmobile stage chasing someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that carries all the way through into modern games today, like the Arkham Knight games.
You kind of have to have a Batmobile level.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to drive that car.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's such easy gameplay. I mean, there's all kinds of racing games and shit. I think these graphics are so good for Super Nintendo, too.
Absolutely.
So it kind of holds up, you know?
Oh, I think they captured the Bruce Timm style incredibly well. These animation poses are so dynamic. The way Batman runs, like the amount of pixels used just to barely capture those ears on the cowl, like it's they nailed it. They nailed everything that's going on in this one.
This is why I brought you here today. This commentary. This is great. I know in this game when you hold up, he does like a Batman pose, like up towards the city and shit, which is great.
I think the Bruce Timm era, especially in the original animated series, really captured the use of his cape as part of like his intimidation and his demeanor.
Yes.
And you see it in games like this because, you know, you can just animate the cape by hand coming over his shoulders, whereas like you get to the later 3D era and that becomes an immediate technological impossibility, just gated by the tech at the time, still to this day, truly.
It was one guy for over a year, right? Doing just the cape animation. We covered that in the last one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's tons of technology that goes into cloth physics and stuff now. But like, even in the latest Arkham games, you haven't really seen the cape come over the shoulders where he gets that animated silhouette where he's like enveloped by the cape. He's more just the silhouette of Batman completely shrouded. Like, that's such a cool look. And games in this area can handle it no problem because it's all, you know, it's all drawn, it's all pixel art and animated by hand.
Right. It's actually easier in some way.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, take it away.
The Joker has taken over the Gotham amusement park, built his own funhouse, and is planning to bomb Gotham from a roller coaster. This level is actually based on 2 different episodes. Many elements of the funhouse part of the level are based on Christmas with the Joker. The laughing Joker dolls and the giant toy soldier robots especially. The roller coaster fight is heavily based on the episode Be a Clown. The name of the roller coaster, Twin Terrors, can also be seen in the background.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, this does seem familiar, especially those toy soldiers from the Christmas episode.
Yeah, direct lifts from the show. Really well done. If only every licensed video game series was so good. This was always a problem back in the day. It's less of a problem now, probably. But in the 90s, when we were growing up, anytime something was licensed, it was like, ooh, I don't know. This is going to be bad, probably. You know, 9 times out of 10. But this is the 10% where it was fine. Nintendo Power reviewed this. They criticized the game for not giving Robin a more active role. The game was actually under development before the series was retitled, so it was just going to be Batman the Animated Series, the game, for a long time. So that was what was going on there. Otherwise, he supplies Batman with his moral support. Despite this, the game was well received.
You're doing well, Batman.
Yeah. Fans citing the faithful rendition of not only the characters and settings, but also the music of the actual animated series. So, it was reviewed well at the time, which was great. Good to see. So, moving on from that to the Genesis version / MegaDrive. I got the MegaDrive art in there as well. I always thought the MegaDrive name was cooler than Genesis. I wish ours was called MegaDrive. But anyway, yeah. It would make sense too because Super Nintendo Mega Drive. I don't know. Genesis is just like pull out of their ass.
Their biblical ass.
Yeah, right. Just so weird. I always thought.
Yeah, it's funny to see how like naming conventions for consoles still have not gotten any. But I don't actually know which Xbox is the most recent Xbox.
Series X.
There you go. Yeah, it's impossible.
Xbox
to tell.
is bad though. Because you got Xbox 360, then Xbox One, and then and then there's 2 series out right now.
So the Genesis 2 has got to come out, is what we're saying.
There was a Genesis 2, but it was just the same thing, but a smaller, compact version. It was the same inside, though. But anyway, this one. So back in the day, again, this is a retro gaming episode, so there's going to be a lot of back in the day. But if it was on Super Nintendo, and then there was a version on Genesis, it didn't necessarily mean it was going to be the exact same game. So and like it's seemingly Warner Brothers or whatever was heading this up. They gave out this license to all kinds of producers or game developers, and they all kind of made their own thing. It's similar art because it's based on the same show, but the actual levels and shit are different, which I was a spoiled doctor's kid, so we had Super Nintendo and Genesis. So we would rent both of them sometimes just to see what was different. So that was my little story there. But this company, Clockwork Tortoise, is the company that made the Genesis version, and they also made the Sega CD version too, actually, which we'll get to eventually, which is why I'm bringing them up. This is a little footage of the gameplay. As you can see, it's a little different.
Yeah, the art style is totally different. All still within like the same series theme, but you can tell immediately like this is a completely different team.
Completely different, right? But still, this is fine. I played this as well in anticipation for this episode, and it's actually the Super Nintendo one I think personally is a little better, but this one is not bad.
This is more seizure-inducing.
Yeah.
Lots of flashes.
This is over half past the game. I didn't want to get footage from just the beginning of the game. I wanted to like spruce it up with other footage.
Also, the green-suited thugs look like Riddler on steroids.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
That's true.
This blimp I thought it was shooting out coins at Batman. Two-Face is the antagonist at the beginning of the scene, so I thought he
kill him with coins.
Shooting coins at him.
Yeah.
The overall outline for the game is...
It's a run and gun, where both Batman and Robin must stop Mr. Freeze, who plans to freeze Gotham City. In order to keep the duo busy, he also frees the Joker, Two-Face, and the Mad Hatter, each one with their own agenda. The Joker celebrates his birthday, wreaking havoc in Gotham, and stealing diamonds. Two-Face tries to take over the city from above, and Mad Hatter is creating a robot army in his surreal lair.
Great.
It's Joker's birthday, apparently.
That's kind of awesome,
man.
This boss fight against Two-Face is awesome.
Yeah,
it's pretty great, right? The Genesis could do different shit,
yeah,
right? Which is cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting Mad Hatter until you mentioned that, Ben, because he's not on the cover art. I guess they just figured he wasn't as important as the other characters.
Yeah, because you would think like Riddler or Penguin, like one of the more famous ones, but they're just like, let's give Mad Hatter a chance.
Well, Mad Hatter did have some good like episodes within the original animated series.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's just still surprising because a lot of times like they go for the big guns. They go for the ones that people know from the 60s show, the classic ones.
Yeah. This is dynamic, man. Look at this. Now you're in like the Gradius R-type
it's like an aerial view, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes. This is the blast processing, I guess you could say. That this is what Sega always liked to say that they had that Nintendo didn't have.
Mode 7.
Sega does what Nintendo don't, all that shit. Yeah, the game can be played 2 players simultaneous. That's different. One player is Batman, the other one is Robin. Both characters are identical in terms of playability. They both use batarangs, bolas, shuriken, long-range attacks, while using melee attacks at short range, of course. This game was released in 1995 and features a dark electronica-styled soundtrack by Jester Kyd. It's KYD. I don't know.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, maybe he was big at the time, but that was apparently worth notice telling about.
Now, I was going to say, I think that the Batman and Robin SNES version had a like truer style to the show than the Genesis version, but the Genesis version had like so much more dynamic action happening. Like it was cool to watch Two-Face come in and just kind of like and like throw a pack of dynamite at Batman.
Yeah.
And then like I wasn't expecting the whole platform to like get rocked and start falling from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
that was the kind of thing that you definitely got as an experience on Genesis that you really didn't get on Nintendo.
Yeah, it's looking back, it's interesting seeing their strengths and weaknesses with that kind of stuff for sure. And I did want to like highlight a clip that really kind of showed things off. Moving on to the GameGear version. This is if you don't know, this is a Sega's portable. This was their answer to the Game Boy for all the kids out there that might not know. It was in color, but it sort of didn't matter because Nintendo had such a stranglehold with the black and white ass Game Boy. Was such a bigger deal than the color GameGear. But the GameGear did have some good games, but Game Boy just really had a stranglehold at that time on the portable market.
I don't think it helped that the GameGear needed like eight batteries, 6 batteries.
Yeah,
6 batteries.
Yeah,
just went through it
like that because of that color, that backlit color.
So this is the story here.
The Joker has kidnapped Robin to lure Batman into a game. Using Gotham's most feared criminals and an army of mechanical bad guys, the Joker makes them compete with one another to distract Batman. The Mad Hatter has the first try.
Yes, Mad Hatter.
Or Mad Hatter, yeah.
They love Mad Hatter on the Sega side, it seems like. But they all have their own stories. They're all slightly different. Well, they're all also slightly similar, but yeah, they differ enough. And I gotta mention this to Matt actually too. When I was playing this, it kind of had like a fatal error, don't you think? Have you played this, Matt?
If I played this one, it was a lifetime ago, so it's not as fresh as I'd like it to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell in our video, but basically, he gets too far to the right.
Oh yeah.
It's like, do you know this is a gameplay mechanic that should not mechanic, but shouldn't be part of the game. It gets way too far to the right, and then the enemies are too. They hit you too quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
And they're off screen too, which is aren't there unwritten rules for video games?
Oh sure, but like this is the stuff that takes generations to really figure out the rules of, even like the first Uncharted game, which is one of the more modern classics, has the same exact issue as you're talking about here. You go through a doorway and there's a guy right around the corner of that doorway who's shooting at you, and you don't know. It takes time to figure that stuff out. But I wonder if this might have been using like maybe a similar engine to what Sonic had been using, which featured him going off the screen more often. Like that was a selling point of like, whoa, he's going so fast.
It's just so to the right. It's especially when he jumps. I think that's kind of that's got to be an error there. It kind of fucks up with the gameplay.
Cameras are hard, man.
That's your life, huh?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get to. Well, I wanted to show the final boss. I guess this is the Joker.
Well, he's got little spring shoes.
Little spring shoes.
This guy's spring shoes. Yeah, thought that was funny. Okay.
Very long ass nose.
Yes, for sure. But good enough for the GameGear, I guess. Right? It's fine. Other than that one error. All right, so the Game Boy version was created by Konami. They're very big. They fucking went under somehow, but they were huge up until a couple years ago. Whenever they tanked out of nowhere, I don't know how. That's a whole other podcast with Matt probably, but huge in the '90s, huge all the way up to like 2014. Now they make fucking pachinko machines in Japan. Don't know what happened there, but anyway, they were a great developer. And before we get into this one, and it's cool you have commentary on this one, Zach, but I wanted to show this one's intro, and this will be fine for the audio as well, because this is a Game Boy rendition of the intro to the animated series.
That's
nice.
Cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Super cool.
Nice. Classic.
Wow, that's cool.
No lightning this time.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, I remember that.
just standing here.
Yeah, it's
I like
awesome.
to pose.
I like to just stand on buildings. This one has different box art than the other ones as well because it came out sooner. It looks different than the other ones, but this is directly related. It just had a different production cycle or something happened there. But yeah, it's since it's Nintendo, it's more directly connected to the Super Nintendo version, has cutscenes that connect the story between each level. Other minor trivia is this game takes place before Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face, so there's that. And Zach, you played this one as a kid?
Yes, and I just recently replayed it, and it's a hard-ass game.
Yes.
The mechanics are really complicated, and you can only die a certain amount of times before it will just kick you back to the beginning, and there's no save on it, so it's an old enough game that there's no save option. But it is cool that you get to switch to Robin during certain levels, so I thought that was really interesting. And he does have different like weapons and some slightly different moves, I think, than Batman.
Do you remember ever beating it?
Nope.
It wasn't meant to be beaten.
Nope.
Yeah.
I beat the one that was for 89.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I never could beat this one.
I hardly ever beat games all the way back in the day. It would be just the big releases like Mario or Sonic or something. Do you think that was more common back then? Like people just games are too hard, man. I felt like.
I agree completely. Yeah. I mean, I think that is probably just as true today, though.
Yeah, I guess.
In terms of how often people finish a game, I think it's like roughly 20% of the people who play it.
But games like Uncharted and stuff like that, I feel like are just so easily beaten. Like they're games made to be beaten, kind of. I mean, more than the other games, I feel like. I don't know.
I mean, I think games like Uncharted are probably easier in a lot of ways than a game like this was.
Right.
Comparatively.
Right. So that's pretty much it, and we'll catch you after the break.
Here at Chat of the Wild, our Game Club podcast, we have been using our lens of truth to do deep dives on the Legend of Zelda series, in order, covering 1 to 2 dungeons each episode. Our show also looks at Zelda-likes, such as Crusader of Senti, Golden Axe Warrior, and the bizarre journey of For the Frog, the Bell Tolls. Join us right now as we play Ari and the Secret of Seasons, our first new release since Season 1, or check out our past seasons breaking down nearly 20 action-adventure titles. New episodes drop every Wednesday, here on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with Barkbox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right. 1 free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the Barkbox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you. Batman speaking.
Hello, old pointy ears. Do you recognize my voice? It's your old Uncle Joker. I know you're so excited to hear me.
Keep talking. I'll trace this call and find your new headquarters.
Well, you don't have to. I actually want you to come see me this time. You know, there's that little favor you owe me. Do you remember?
After the time we teamed up against the Batman Who Laughs?
Yes?
All right. I'm on my way. I'm here, Joker. What do you want?
Well, looky who it is. Half of me didn't expect you to show up. All right, so here's the favor, Batso. I don't know if you've noticed this, but my wardrobe can be quite colorful, and I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but it's actually a mistake. Well, I actually had white suits. I wanted to go for this whole all-white angle. You know, don't ask many questions on that. But I like the whole white suit look. I tried to do my laundry, and damn it if I didn't dye everything purple. So, my dearest friend, Pointy Ears Guano Man, can you please teach your old Uncle Joker how to correctly do the laundry?
You brought me all the way out here just to help you do the laundry. This entire time, your wardrobe is just a mistake. I just thought you were colorful because you like to show yourself off.
Well, I am a pretty good showman, so I guess I tricked everybody into thinking it was on purpose, but no, I want a nice, classy look. I don't want to be the butt of everyone's joke every time I go to the supervillain party. In fact, I feel like I've inspired them. Have you realized how many of those other dolts are wearing purple and green nowadays?
I've noticed that Lex Luthor has really cramped your style.
He has, that old bald-headed bitch. So, can you help me out and teach me how to wash my clothes without ruining my colors?
Well, I have a confession to make. I don't exactly know how to do the laundry myself.
Gasp!
But I might know someone who does.
Well, let's hit the road, Banana Toad!
This is not what I expected.
Just go along with it, Alfred.
You're teaming up with him!
Only to do the laundry.
To do the laundry! Well, I have waited for this day. I'm quite tired of doing it myself every time, so I'll take it.
Who is this, Bats, your grandpa?
Yes, let Joker and I do the laundry for you, Alfred. What do we do?
Wonderful. I have no problem with this. So, let's start with towels. They're the easiest. You grab your dirty towels.
Slow down, let me get my notepad out.
This is the slowest someone can possibly go, but alright. You have to have organization before this and have them all in a dirty hamper. Yes, it's called a dirty hamper.
Oh, that's the thing that I throw my towels into.
Well, you usually throw them into the corner, but yes. They should go into the hamper.
Is that what that is? Well, my hamper will no longer smell like dirty socks.
I always wondered where they went.
Then you throw them into the washing machine thusly.
Now, hold on now. Spell washing machine?
I'm not going to do that. You'll figure that part out.
Okay, I'm writing it down. Go for it. Proceed.
And then you put in your detergent. This is known as detergent.
Oh, I see.
Don't get any ideas from the chemicals, Joker.
Cross my fingers.
And then you close the lid and click start. That's really it. You should have learned this when you were a child. It's my fault, really. I failed you on this one, Bruce. I mean Batman.
If I knew it was this simple, I would have done it myself.
It was my fault. Then you set an alarm for 30 minutes. And you go jack off or do something, whatever it is.
Okay. Come
back, take the clothes out of said washer. They will be wet, so guess what needs to happen next?
You blow them up!
Nope, that is wrong.
Oh.
That would dry them, though.
That would dry them, but you want to use them again. We're doing all whites here this time because I know you've had some troubles with the colors.
Oh, lordy. I knew you were an old guy, but jeez.
It's not a racial thing, it's just a washer machine thing. So we then put them into the dryer. You need fabric softener. They're these little fluffy things. You put them in, and then you close it and press start. That's literally it. Again, I blame myself. This is really easy.
Dear Lord, Batman, you didn't tell me you had a genius working for you.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Alfred is smart, but I don't know about genius.
I like Joker more now. All right, anyway, so we wait an hour this time. The dryer takes longer. So you jack off twice or whatever it is, come back, your alarm wakes you, talk to Siri or your Google Assistant or whatever.
Cats, I had no idea laundry was so easy.
Joker, you did remove the acid flour before you put it in the machine, right?
Ooh, whoops. I was wondering what that smell was.
Oh, now we have to escape the vicinity because that acid is getting through the entire room. We will continue this lesson later.
Everyone out!
Je m'appelle Andrew, y'all. All right, everybody, I have saved the best for last. The final
Yes.
The main show here for this episode is the Sega CD version. Of course, this is the thing that KookieNomz wanted us to talk about, so we're finally here. It was on Sega CD. Do you guys even know what the fuck a Sega CD is?
Nope.
Zach,
I'll say no. I'll say no.
Zach, you don't either.
Nope.
Matt, I'm sure you did.
Yes.
Did you have one?
My cousin did.
Okay, so you played one at the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I got one for my birthday because, again, spoiled doctor's kid. I fucking got them all. And I had two other brothers, too, so they sometimes got shit as well that I just play theirs. Yeah, this was a CD attachment for the Genesis. So it would just attach right to the side of a Genesis, and it was just... This is a time just before the PlayStation was coming along and the Saturn, which was going to introduce CD gaming really in earnest. There was this period. Nintendo never had one. They were going to, which was going to be called the PlayStation. They had a deal with Nintendo to make PlayStation for Nintendo at first, but that didn't happen. Anyway, point is, CD gaming it could have better music. It had CD quality music, and it could have cutscenes, which is big. The fucking Super Nintendo and Genesis versions and Game Boy and shit, GameGear could not have this. So this is an obvious upgrade. Of course, Mega CD outside of North America. So I always wanted to support those listeners out there. It was 16-bit, and it was a Genesis with a CD. Really, it was not much. But
this was to show you the power. This was the THX sound drop version. For Sega CD.
Getting video in a video game at this time was incredible. It was so good. If you came from Super Nintendo, I was not a PC gamer. I went from Nintendo to Super Nintendo. That was just my fucking my trajectory. So that's just how that worked. But yeah, it was incredible. It was a fun time in gaming at this time. Also, Clockwork Tortoise made this one as well. And what was interesting to find, they also made the Three Ninjas on Sega CD.
Nice.
That was funny.
That's a classic, obviously.
I had to show this, man. This is great. They were behind that. So,
Three Ninjas Kick Back.
That's right.
Three Ninjas Kick Back. It's not even the first one, right? It's the fucking
it's a sequel.
So, yeah. So they made this
Amazing.
nonsense, which is just hilarious.
Look at that. But that was like legitimately beautiful artwork. Like that was a really good portrait.
It was better than what the Genesis could do.
It was wasted on Three Ninjas.
It was wasted on Three Ninjas. But real quick side tangent. Clockwork Tortoise was working on this Sega CD game or MegaDrive Genesis game called X-Women: The Sinister Virus. I found this in my research. I had to share. It is a canceled game that seemingly there's no beta version online. Sometimes those get just leaked, especially if they're old as fuck like this. But if you're out there, please leak it, because that would be awesome. So, yeah, never been an X-Woman game ever, so it would have been very out of its time.
Looks like Rogue, Jean Grey, and Storm, right?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Nice. So,
the back to the Sega CD Batman the Animated Series game is basically a Batmobile game. That's all it is. The last level is when you pilot the Batwing, and that's it. That's the only level you pilot the Batwing. But I found the game to be quite hard. Did any of you guys play this in the ramp up? Nobody? Okay. Well, I played it as part of my research. I played I think I played this first level here, and it's cool, it's fine, but it's just a little bit too difficult, and I don't know, it could have been better, I felt like. But anyway, between these levels, the story advances through animated cutscenes that were created specifically for this game. And this is what the actual Lost episode is all about. Because they animated completely new shit. They did kind of have the gumption to do that. They could have just put stuff from the series that's already made, but they made a whole extra thing for this, which is great. Of course, none of the other versions of this game had this, and what was interesting was This didn't have to follow the same exact guidelines because it wasn't on TV. So it wasn't totally like R-rated, but it did get a little more violent. One thing I noticed was in the Poison Ivy section in the beginning, there's this section where he gets this axe and starts just chopping the guy down. And I thought this is where they probably couldn't have shown this in its entirety on TV.
It's awesome.
Probably not. No.
This to me is I like the design of this character because it does remind me of a New Adventures episode, but it does make me think about that time that like Poison Ivy and Clayface worked together, or Clayface tried to control Poison Ivy. Was that a No Man's Land thing we talked about, Ben?
That was No Man's Land thing, yeah. So this is
that's
kind
what
of,
I thought. This to me looks like it kind of looks like a Clayface mixed with Poison Ivy creature.
Yes.
He definitely has a look like Clayface.
Basically, yes. Another thing to point out too is like I can't tell on the YouTube versions of this because it's probably been expanded, but I know back in the day, like it would be like you'd have your TV screen, and because it's a Sega CD and it's old as fuck and compressed, it would be like a very small chunk of that screen just so they could play it. But it's fine. It was still mind-blowing at the time in like 95. Well, actually, this game, by the way, it's another point. This game came out a little late. It came out in 95, which it would have been better if it came out in like 92 or 93. It probably would have sold more. But by 95, the PlayStation 1 was already out in the Saturn, so it was a little strange timing. But anyway, yeah, so the animated cutscenes were produced by Warner Brothers Animation, had animation by Tokyo Movie Shinsha, which is a Japanese company that they, I guess, subcontracted. This company also worked on Animaniacs, so cool. It wasn't the only thing that they did. Yep, it's not too uncommon. Of course, Kevin Conroy and all the cast are back. They're all back, and it's great. It's 16 minutes in total. The story is not complete with just the cutscenes, though. The story is more or less complete by playing the game itself.
They certainly pumped a lot of like money into this production. They put a lot of backing behind it. Getting the original cast, getting an actual animation house to do all of these original cutscenes that are like completely on model for the TV show. Like those backgrounds and everything, the exact same color palettes and the way those like painterly backgrounds were handled. Like that took a lot of effort for then to jump into just the Batmobile or just the Batwing. You never actually get to be Batman.
It's a good choice, though, I think. I mean, even though the game's not great, it's still like, it's a Batmobile game. That's cool. That was new at the time, I think. Because most of the time you're playing Batman, which, of course, that's what you should do first. Right. But after you have like 10 games, whatever, let's have a Batmobile game. I still think there's probably a great Batmobile game out there to be made, and definitely a Batwing game that's kind of a flight sim. That would be fucking sweet. Flying around Gotham.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Woo!
I think also a lot of this was about what the hardware for the Sega CD was good at doing. This kind of parallaxing, coming at the camera. You know, this kind of like Star Fox quality of like it's the same kind of thing you'd see in, you know, like R-Type or Gradius or something, but it's going at the screen rather than side scrolling, and that was just something that this hardware was really good at handling. So why not make a game completely featured around the systems that this thing can do well to blow you away? The other side of that is that you don't get games that really necessarily had the action outside of the cockpit.
Sega Lord X on YouTube. Do you know him, Matt?
Not by name.
Okay, it's like a sort of popular Sega YouTuber, but he like hated this level, and he wanted this final level where you're going under a bridge, and the whole time he wanted it to be able to where you could kind of go outside of the bridge and it's not so linear. But I don't know, what can you do? They were trying their best at this time, I think.
I'm gonna take a guess at this, but I think that the Batwing is actually a 3D model that they took pictures of at different angles.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that's
because
cool.
like the amount of angles that we're seeing it tilt to as you're flying, there's a lot of like granularity in there. There's a lot of subtlety at the way that it's changing, and the hardware at the time would definitely struggle with rendering something in full 3D. It is only one object on screen, so it's possible. But my guess is that they are pre-rendered sprites taken at those angles. But the amount of them is really impressive. Like, there's a lot of detail in the like underside of the Batwing.
It's animated very well.
Yeah.
The Batwing itself. Yeah.
Yeah, you said this is 1995.
1995 is when it was released. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it kind of the Batwing to me sort of looks a little bit like the Batman Forever one too.
It does.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oh, it could be.
It could match up a little.
Instead of the Batman animated series Batwing.
There could be a lot of reasons for that. I mean, maybe that was something they actually got their hands on and could take angled pictures of, or just use as a straight up art reference.
Yeah, because it's got some lights on it that I don't really remember from the animated series.
I forget exactly what it looks like. I, of course, remember the Batmobile, but I don't remember the Batwing offhand. We're going to get to that in a minute. Okay. Yeah. Let's get more into Ben's territory. Let's talk about the story. Let's talk about the episode itself.
Yes.
So, the cutscenes interspersed between the levels. The first part is Batman goes to Poison Ivy, basically investigating, like we talked about earlier. And then he just kind of keeps, like, having to investigate different villains and then just, like, find the final boss basically at the end.
It's the regular Tuesday in Gotham.
Yeah. So, what were your overall thoughts on this story, Ben?
Well, I would say one of the big things, you obviously have to have this sort of going from one villain to the next. I mean, that's kind of what you already have in the Arkham games later. It's just a more sophisticated version, story-wise. But I'm just like, if you are doing the Batman universe, you have a whole bunch of villains. It makes sense that they're all teamed up and you go from one to the next. So, it's understandable. It's a little weird to watch from like a YouTube cutscene type of thing, since there's stuff that's cut in between. It's not quite an episode. Now, and then you get to the end, and there's something that foreshadows, I think, Arkham City a lot. Where it's just like, well, guess what? Clayface is actually the big boss of this game, and he's been disguised as someone else who you didn't know beforehand, that type of thing. And so I'm like, okay, that's really cool. That sort of foreshadows what Arkham City is going to do many years from now. And then also one of the rare instances where Batman uses a gun, because he uses the gun on the ship, but it's against Clayface, so he's hitting a hole through him, but he knows it's not going to kill him. He's just trying to incapacitate him. But it's one of the rare times
Clayface uses a gun too, which really... It took me by surprise. It was weird seeing Clayface holding a machine gun. That was like, he could just use his body, but it was kind of weird.
That's true.
I'm a little tired right now.
Is he shooting out bits of himself when he does that?
No, it's just a regular
little
gun.
Pellets of himself.
Tiring, yeah.
Oh, it's another gun. Okay, yeah.
He's using it on that. But yeah, it is cool to see like another dive into the specific, like, very first version of the animated series, before they changed the art style, before the Justice League and everything. Like, this the very 90s-esque Fox Kids version of it. So
the best version.
It's cool. Yeah. It is the best version.
Yeah. Everything got simplified with each reiteration.
Yeah, and I think that it sort of loses that. There's like some sort of it's the Art Deco style, I think, of the very 90s. The 90s version has to it, that you just don't get the same feel when you get to like Mystery of the Batwoman and some of the other like Justice League stuff, where it's just like, okay, now it's Justice League, it's got its own feel to it, but it's a feel that's a little closer to Superman the Animated Series than Batman the Animated Series.
For sure.
What was everybody's like favorite section? Because we have he goes from Poison Ivy, and then he goes to the Riddler, who calls him a dummy, which is pretty funny, and then he meets Harley at the Joker in the amusement park, which that's obviously all connected to the Super Nintendo version, like we saw, and all that. And then he's led to Rupert Thorne, who's actually Clayface. So he's like, following the trail this whole time, which is also a story kind of tailor-made for a video game, right? Just villain to villain to villain to villain. So I think personally, even though I love Clayface, I just love that axe scene in the beginning with Poison Ivy. Clayface is one of my top villains, though, but and I love that he's the top guy. That's an awesome choice. But yeah, something about Batman with that axe, man. You just don't see it that much
visceral.
in the animated. Yeah.
Like watching that axe like split the wood on that monster was like there were elements of that clearly you could see in the cartoon show. They would have gotten some of those things cut, right? Like I think where it really becomes like a bit shocking in the gratuity of that violence is when you're seeing like the plant juice splatter on Batman's face. It's like American Psycho with Batman at that point.
Yes.
You know? I could see the censors being like,
try getting a reservation at Dorsia now, you fucking asshole. Yeah.
I'm sure the animators were like, we're going to animate something that's not on TV. No regulations. This is great. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love
two
the
favorite
Clayface
scenes.
part.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I really love the Clayface part, just in general. The twist, because it's just like, so Rupert Thorne is the big boss of this? This seems a little anticlimactic, and then just like, guess what? It's not him, so that's cool. But it's also kind of wild that Rupert Thorne is in a Batman video game.
Yes, that's true. That is true. That's true.
Zach, your thoughts?
So I like two scenes the best. The first one is the Riddler's like dummy scene. I think it's actually really creepy because he does move a little bit and he's really still. And yeah, it just is very unsettling when Batman pulls him up and it's like a broken kind of dummy robot. And my other favorite scene is whenever Clayface is defeated and he falls into the water and like shrieks and then he kind of just like dissipates. I just thought that was really visceral to me. It was kind of an agonizing scream, but it was, I don't know, I just thought that was really cool. And it, like you said, it's really interesting to see Rupert Thorne in a video game. Mainly, I guess, because he was like the big normal baddie of the animated series.
Yeah.
Well, they had a few,
so
right?
it was kind of awesome.
A few
Roland
random,
Daggett.
Yeah, Daggett. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
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 They did like to sprinkle in a few just mob
of some of their own gangster stuff, so that was cool with that. But Thorne is, I mean, he's the main one who dates back to the comics, you know, with the Steve Englehart comics as we talked about. So I think that it was appropriate to do that because he was always kind of the big normal bad of BTAS.
Cool.
Me personally, there's a call out that Riddler does, and that's when he's about to trap Batman in the virtual reality section, where he talks about virtual reality games being the wave of the future, Batman. And I was like, wow, that's still true today.
Yeah,
we're still waiting on virtual reality to really take hold.
Yeah,
as well.
It is kind of foreshadowing of that sort of virtual reality-esque Riddler episode 2. In a way, or maybe it's a tie-in to that. I didn't quite look up the dates to see what came first, but maybe it's a repeat of what is reality. It probably is.
I think it's a repeat.
Let me take a look.
Yeah,
I think it's probably a repeat, honestly. But let's take a look. So, what is reality? Came out. I'm just gonna look it up now because
let's get it in.
1992. So yeah, definitely.
Way ahead.
Yeah, 1992, way ahead of it. So that's definitely foreshadowing then. I mean, it's definitely tied in to that episode. That's what I meant.
What would you guys think it would be like the perfect or a great Batman animated series game? Have we had it already, or would it just be Arkham but animated series style, or what?
That would be fun.
I have some thoughts on this if you really want to hear them.
Yes, let's hear it from Matt.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it from the lead animator.
Well, because like what we have seen, if you look at like the most recent Batman games and the formula that you see in the Arkham series, it was very successful. But there's an element to it that doesn't really deliver. I'm gonna say. Like, I love that the later games started to really bring in more of the detective side of Batman. That's a huge part of the character's appeal in the comics. But games rarely ever really make that a mechanic. We saw that in the Arkham games, but my problem with that personally is that it's like going up to a play school play set of just buttons and switches that look pretty and don't actually do anything. You know, like those sections of the gameplay look pretty, but really you're just scrolling something until you find the thing you're supposed to find. It's not. Yeah. It's not a gameplay. It's just.
Yeah.
It's
almost busy work.
Yeah, you're just flipping dials and switches and watching pretty lights go off until it's over.
How many more Riddler trophies? Yeah.
Like,
fucking Riddler trophies.
Give me something that takes some skill to do that stuff. Make me feel like Batman in that regard.
I gotta ask though, like, what game has had like great actual detective work in it? Like the LA Noire series, or
you know what? Return of the Obra Dinn.
Okay, I haven't played that one.
Oh, I'd say that's probably the best detective investigative game I've ever played.
Okay,
that was my pandemic top pick for lockdown last year.
Interesting. So basically, we're doing action stuff in a game, we're punching baddies, and then we're getting to a detective part in the game, and it's basically Batman meets the Return of Obra Dinn game.
Right.
Mechanic.
So in that mechanic, like rather than giving you such direct call outs or highlighting objects in the environment that kind of just solve those things for you, like a game like Return of the Obra Dinn really required you to pay attention to details. What's this person's name is typically what the goal is of that game. And so you got to use all the context clues in the environment to actually figure it out. And, usually they have like a domino mechanic where if you can't solve this thing that you're trying to work on directly, solving something else will help fill in the gaps to solve this thing that you're stuck on later, but they're not going to do big colorful highlights to be like, this is the thing that you need to go interact with. Just go do it already. That stuff's that's not fun. Like that level of handling is not fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, detective mode is basically a cheat X-ray vision, in the Arkham games, as opposed to just like, okay, you're in a room, there's a dead body, a half-empty glass, a book that's been overturned. What are you gonna do?
That was the main problem people talked about with the first Arkham game, was that you could just do the whole game in detective mode.
Right.
And just kind of cheat your way, or you could just see enemies better or whatever, and they took that out.
X-ray
for the
vision
ones.
now.
Yeah, basically.
Thanks, Clark. Yeah.
I didn't play it like that, but you could, and I'm sure many people did.
I feel like it takes away from just the beauty of being inside Arkham and looking at Batman and fighting. But you could still technically beat it with all of the detective mode type stuff. It's just a cheat,
Yes. But not seeing a skeleton in that one that turned out to be Clayface. Which
that is cool.
That was a hell of a fucking Easter egg. There we go.
But that would actually be legitimately really cool. Like you might see that early on in the game because you decided to go in there and do that. As a player, you had the agency to go check that out. And maybe you think it's weird that he doesn't have a skeleton. I guess they just forgot, or you think it's a bug, or maybe it just bothers you the whole game until that reveal at the end and you're like, oh, what? Like that connection would be incredible.
Yeah.
It would be sweet. Like I'm actually getting a little goosebumps hearing that. It'd be an awesome game. It's just I wonder if like people that are so used to the regular Arkham series that we've had so far, you think that demographic generally would like that kind of gameplay? Because it seems like quite a departure.
Well,
I would like it.
I think it depends as well. Like, let's say that the Matt Reeves Batman movie comes out and it really does fulfill the promise that Reeves was talking about, where it's Batman is a detective. Oh shit, he's not just a guy who beats the crap out of people, even though you see that in the trailer plenty, but like it emphasizes the detective stuff. Then there's a game that emphasizes the detective stuff that ties into a popular movie. I think that's kind of how you slip that in, where it's like it's already a popular iteration. Here's a tie-in to that, and now everyone is more aware of Batman's detective abilities and not just him yelling at people to get information like a Christian Bale. So,
where's the trigger? Yeah, I mean, it would be obviously way better. I mean, I love those games. I've played and beat all of them. I have I even like the Batmobile segments in Arkham Knight or whatever.
Sure.
Everybody hated those parts.
No, they're really well done.
They're great. I think it's great. I personally don't understand why everybody hated that part. Did you like the Batmobile parts in Arkham Knight, Matt?
Yes, with a caveat.
Okay.
Yes, because I think I understand both sides of the coin there. I can look at it as a compartmentalized game experience and recognize like maybe Arkham Knight was more of a tank game that got turned into a Batman game at some point, or something like that, because it is very heavy on the tank experience. I think a bit more so than the Batman side of things, and I think that's where people got upset about it. But looking at it isolated, it was really fun, well designed, well implemented mechanics around that. I would have chosen to buy that game if I knew it was that game.
I see. It was too much of a departure from the other thing. Okay, I got you. All right, cool.
I think like you don't ever actually punch one of the Rogues Gallery bosses in the face. You only ever engaged in the Batmobile for those boss fights, and that was a little like it's not quite what I wanted out of that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I liked it, but I'm sure, well, yeah. Anyway. It is what it is. If you want, we could go more into that. But if you want to listen to me really go into it, go to the Batman video games episode. Yeah, it's a whole other deal.
We have an Arkham episode on that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have an Arkham episode. So getting back to it, the reception for this game. So for this series, this is Electronic Gaming Monthly. This was my favorite game magazine growing up. I read all of these. I was so into this before the internet, kids. This was my gaming websites. Fucking loved it. They had obviously covered every Batman game, so it is connected to what we're talking about. The reviews in Electronic Gaming Monthly was generally like 4 dudes. Did you read this as a kid? Anybody?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you did, Matt? Okay. Yeah, this was far and away the best magazine at the time. I gush about this magazine. So anyway, there were generally 4 or 5 dudes, normally dudes. I don't remember there being a woman reviewer in it actually. But anyway, so one of the guys in this summarized the game. This is the Sega CD version we're talking about, as a CD full of cartoon episodes with a so-so driving game included to break up the animated sequences. And he gave it a 6.5 out of 10, which I think is kind of generous. Another gaming magazine, GamePro, which was okay. I didn't love GamePro, but it was fine. They criticized it for the lack of variety in the gameplay, commenting that it was a barely average driving game. It should be called The Adventures of the Batmobile.
History would repeat itself later.
And then a reviewer for Next Generation, which was probably my second favorite gaming magazine. We had a little bit more of an adult slant, and I was getting into my teenage years when this magazine came out. But they reviewed it, saying they regarded the rudimentary and repetitive gameplay to be the game's main flaw, calling it a journey into sheer tedium, boring yet frustrating at the same time. 2 out of 5 stars.
I'd say that it really resembles more of an arcade game.
Being driving only? Yeah.
Yeah, like it kind of reminds me more of that the Star Wars vehicle-based arcade game with the joystick. We end up fighting like Vader with a joystick at the end.
Yes.
Where you could choose like one of 3 levels, and one of them was like driving the speeder bike.
That was in movie theaters all the time back in the day,
but
right?
It had. I felt like this Sega CD Batman game had that same kind of quality to it. Like it's all driving only, so that's the experience you're gonna get. And like the cutscenes, for as well produced as they are, they definitely feel like we know we're kind of not delivering the thing that we promised, so like here's a concession, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking on not delivering what you promised, I failed to mention this earlier. Sega Lord X brought up that the box on the Sega CD version says it's 2 games in 1 or something like that, and it's like it makes it seem like the Batwing is going to have a shitload more levels. It's literally just 1 fucking level at the end, so it's kind of a disappointment to many people.
Especially, I think, if you're going to do an animated series vehicle-based game, because the animated series had a ton of vehicles in it, ton of Bat-themed vehicles.
The Batboat.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a Batboat game too.
Yeah.
Matt, you're in the fucking industry. You need to put the word out and become the animator for a Bat vehicle. Just make it just Bat vehicles, and it can be a boss rush kind of game or something. You don't need to be open
on the
world.
roof and I'll turn on the signal. Turn
on the signal, please.
The game industry signal.
Batboat.
Yes, please let them all know, because that would be awesome. All right. Thanks for indulging me here with this episode, everybody. That is pretty much it. I'd like to thank KookieNomz once again. It was cool that she requested this. It was cool that it was a lost episode, and as you can tell, for me, video games were kind of like my first like real nerd love. Well, maybe cartoons, but when I got into video games, like I subscribed to like 5 magazines at once. I was like, I watch retro game shit on YouTube all the fucking time. Like, I really get into this kind of stuff. So this is a really cool marriage of all these interests. So thanks again to Kookie. Check her out on Instagram, and please buy some of her cookies. And that's it. That's superhero stuff you should know. All right, so I got some requests, everybody. I'm not the requests. I got the comments this time. I put them together. So, we got our first one from Green Arrow. We can say this is Rob, right?
Yep.
So he said, this is just today, hot off the presses as of this recording. Mm-hmm. I didn't know this at first, but I did later on. Very cool video, Andrew. This is on our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Daredevil shared origin video. Please check that out if you haven't. At the time of this video, view was kind of low, so it would be great if you could check it out. It's like 3 minutes long, everybody. So yeah. Thanks
too long. I watched this 2-hour episode on Engle.
Too long.
Yeah, man. Try to make
cool
like
topic too. Like that's such a cool little like point in comics history.
Yeah, they're not like I did a search before I made this video, and this is a request as well, by the way. Mm-hmm. But it's Fan Request Month in August. But yeah, it's there weren't a whole lot on this actually, and this is like sort of talked about in the nerd world a bit, but there not a lot of videos. So I thought it was it'd be cool to. It was a request and cool, great topic. So that was a fan request by Matt Herring. You all know him from the bumper. So yeah, thank you, Matt, for that. And the next comment by Jackson Putnam goes, Ben, that was a wonderful argument for Wes being the best live-action Batman, which I also believe he is. Andrew, spot on observation about child stars being short adults, LOL. Thanks, Jackson. That's great, man. Yeah, I make some good observations from time to time.
Thanks for your support, Jackson.
Thanks for your support, Jackson. That it's from the Was Adam West the Greatest Batman episode that we put up. That was in the archives. If you want to really see a crazy diverse, selection of episodes, and you've been YouTube only up until this point, get on YouTube or Stitcher or whatever you listen to, and Spotify, and you can, we have a shitload of backlog, so check that out there. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if Zach could read this next one. This next one comes from TJL on our What You Didn't Know About Superman 78 Part 2.
5 months ago.
5 months ago, but still worth bringing up, I think.
This channel is so good. I'm on, like, the 6th video. Anyway, I'm writing to say the Andrew Bush has such a heartwarming personality, voice, etc. This guy has one of those auras that everyone gravitates to, kind of like Howard Stern back in his heyday on terrestrial radio. Andrew certainly has the hair for Howard Stern.
Yes, he does, yeah.
And the nose. So, thank you for reading that.
Get them glasses
Zach.
on.
I know.
Of course.
So yeah, thank you, TJL, for such a great comment. One of the best we've ever had on this channel. So, thanks for those comments, everybody. And we'd like to thank our Patreon supporters, who are Shasta, Leom O, Super Inframan, Douglas P, Dan D, Aaron Willett, Nick Noir, Jesse E, Jeffrey R, Scott V, Asger's Web, Jeremy H, Alex of the What Mean Podcast, Ian, Justice, and our other supporters who are Sparkageddon, STCT Productions, Robert Schumann, KookieNomz, of course, Matt Herring, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls, Ian H., Walter the Wobot, John Wells, Rye Guy, and Jackson Putnam for such wonderful comments and everything else. He was on the list before these comments. Please join the Shasta Army on patreon.com/superherostuffpod. That's where you get our Patreon tiers. Well, Shasta Army is the first $1 tier, gets the shout out. Then we have the $5 tier, which is a whole other show. Really, it's one of the best tiers, probably the best. So please join that. Cancel anytime. Generally, Ben takes us on an even deeper dive. You thought this shit was deep on this show, goes even fucking deeper. So on that one, and it's weekly. Cancel anytime, like I said.
We're also doing a new tier, right?
We got a new tier coming out as well. It's a $10. It's part of the $10 tier, which is Ben. Will you please regale our dear listeners, with such tutelage?
Yeah, so it is going to be a fan meetup, so you can actually be part of a show exclusive to the rest of everyone else. So if you are part of the $10 tier or above, you get access to that. And for August, what we're going to do is we're going to cover, or kind of have reactions and deep dives into Batman commercials. And we'll see what specific commercials when you get there.
Hell yeah.
So
we're gonna Mystery Science Theater this shit. So yeah, that's a $10 tier.
Some
everybody.
might be better than you think, Andrew.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I bet some of them are great. Honestly, yeah. I bet some of them are
I'm looking
great.
forward to the OnStar commercials.
I'm looking forward to the what was it, the Coca-Cola commercials with Alfred.
Oh yeah,
This black car would be rather difficult to miss. Yes.
Oh man. All right. So we have merch. Please check us out on Redbubble, the superhousepod.redbubble.com, superherostuffpod.threadless.com. They both have about the same kind of shit. Get your Bin Man and Indeed Wizard mugs. We need to get the Zacula stuff on there. That's coming, but the artwork is by Wolfie Cruz, and we have shirts and mugs and shower curtains and whatever the fuck. So please check us out on there, and check us out on please leave us a review on iTunes. Please record us some audio and send that to superhousepodcast@gmail.com. You too can be on the show. Please animate our show. Please animate our sketches. We'd love to see those animated, man. So just leave us put the hashtag in the corner throughout the duration of the video, and email us when you have that animation done. It'd be awesome. I am ThunderWolfDrew on Instagram and Twitter. ThunderWolf Lives on my other channel that's not updated as much as it should be, but I talk about all kinds of Japanese shit on there. And retro gaming stuff as well. ThunderWolfDrew.com is where you can find my portfolio. Also, I do photo and video professionally, and so you can check out that stuff. And I also am in pre-production for Amano Recon. This is Zack did the poster, which is fucking awesome, man. It's fucking great. We're still in pre-production for this. We should be shooting some tests soon, but I gotta keep plugging this because this is gonna be cool whenever we finally get it out there. So check that out. That's amanorecon.com, AMANORECON.com. It is basically R-rated Power Rangers meets X-Files.
Rad.
It's bloody. Yeah, it's gonna be bloody. It's gonna be fun. It's a sci-fi horror comedy. So no one's ever done this precise melange of things, so it's gonna be cool. I'm excited for it, obviously. So yeah, it's gonna be an Indiegogo campaign, and check that out soon. Ben.
Nice. You can check us out at SuperHousePod on Twitter, and then everything else, we are Superhero Stuff Pod. Instagram, Superhero Stuff Pod. TikTok, Superhero Stuff Pod. Vero, for you Snyder fans. Superhero Stuff Pod. Also shout out to Comic Capital on Instagram, as well as the Everything Entertainment Club on Clubhouse. My website is benwanwriter.com, and my YouTube channel is in the description below. You can also check out the website for earlybird.com at earl-e-bird.com, but we are currently revamping the art and a new edition of Early Bird, so
Zack is on
be on
that shit
lookout
as
for
well.
that. Sounds like I got enough to do with these thumbnails.
You're busy enough.
So, my personal Instagram is Ben1Ryder. My son's Instagram, Alfie Pennyworth Cat. That's his Instagram at Alfie Pennyworth Cat, where he can check out my ginger cat with a bow tie. And that leads me to talk about, if you have an Alfred or another cat, you can get Whisker Box, where you can get basically from month to month a box for your own feline friend. And if you don't have a cat but a dog, you can get a box for your own canine friend. No matter which pet you have, whether a dog or a cat, you can get a box for yourself, and you can even use our special link in the description below for Barkbox. We even bring it up in the middle of the break to give you basically your first month free on Barkbox. So why not? You can check out all this other stuff in affiliate shops at superherostuffpod.com/shop, where you can get all sorts of other merchandise. And over to Zach.
Well, if you'd like to see more of my work, you can go to ZacharyJacksonBrownArt.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just look up Zachary Jackson Brown Art. And for the YouTube listeners, this is a special sneak peek. I don't think it's on Instagram. Who knows when this is going to come out anyways. But I did finish my Jack Nicholson entry. I'm doing a series of Jokers, all the cinematic Jokers. So I have one more left, which is Cesar Romero. Of course, I worked my way down. But yes, I did just finish the Jack Nicholson Jokers. So it's a special sneak preview. So we'll see Andrew's face instead. Yep.
I thought it was going to highlight the speaker.
That's all right.
It just highlights me? What the fuck is that all about?
Here's who's important.
So realistically rendered.
I was trying to put it on you, man. All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're all right. You know, it's all right.
Yeah, that's cool.
My business card. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. Well, what
Over
a
to
great
Matt,
episode!
though, right?
Oh, Matt. Yes, I'm sorry,
You wanna
Matt.
plug
Please
anything?
forgive me.
Nah, I mean,
Yes.
don't worry about me. There's nothing I can plug officially yet. It's gonna be a while. I just joined the team over at my new gig, so looking forward to the day when I can share some information about that. But it'll be a little bit.
Can you say what company you're working for or no?
Yes, I can. I am a senior animator over at Respawn Entertainment on the Star Wars team.
So it's not by EA this time.
It is under EA, but it's it's
Your Respawn subcontracted by EA.
Owned outright, but somewhat autonomous, I think.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Game industry stuff on that side gets very fuzzy.
Okay, cool. Well, it was fucking awesome having you on, man.
This was a blast, guys. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, right on.
All right, and thanks, KookieNomz, once again. And I guess that's it. And I want you to do me a favor.
I want you to tell all your friends about us.
Woo!
What are you?
Indeed! Superhero Stuff You Should Know is part of the Greenlit Podcast Network.